There's no doubt that the BMW X5 is a very accomplished SUV, or as BMW calls it, their sports activity vehicle. This car was notably known for having one of the more sporty edges in the class. But as years recently came, it's starting to soften it a little bit. But as a whole, that's what just made it a more appealing vehicle, and in my opinion, just made it an even better SUV it already was. So I'm going to show you why the BMW X5, the latest generation, G05, is a great car to consider new or used for the price you're paying for it. Underneath the hood is BMW's signature turbo B58 6-cylinder, producing 335 horsepower, which I highly doubt due to BMW's underrated horsepower numbers. Anyways, it does also produce 330 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 is a claimed 5.3 seconds, extremely quick already for an SUV, but some sites have claimed it to be as low as 4.8 seconds. As an SUV, MPG is great with 20 city and 26 on the highway. You also have to really desire BMW uses of a 6-cylinder as a basic engine, something you can't say for other brands. Mercedes-Benz. This engine is most likely plenty enough, but if you would like, a more powerful V8 is available. Starting off with the front end, there is no doubt that this vehicle screams BMW. As every generation progresses, it's apparent that the grille is definitely growing in size, and that's no doubt with the G05. As you see, a lighter, elegant finish is on this particular X-line, but if you go with the M Sport package, then this whole grille will be blacked out. Not to mention, with the M Sport package, there's a bit of a difference to the lower fascia. Lastly, if you get the $300 Shadowline exterior trim, then the whole surround of the grille will be blacked out as well. With the X5, the standard headlights, which are probably fine for most people, are BMW's adaptive LED, which tone down or bright up when it sees a person, car, or any apparent obstacle incoming. Gone are the signature halo corona rings from prior generations, but the design still does have a more mature look to it. In addition, for the executive package, BMW's adaptive laser light is available, which doesn't just give it a blue accent for style, but gives the light a little bit more range as well as high beam assist. Down below, we do have full LED fog lights, as well as some more styling elements. Moving along the side of the X5, BMW has an attempt of a Hofmeister kink, trying to keep the BMW signature element in the rear side quarter. Speaking about this element of the vehicle, the M Sport package will give you blacked out trim along the windows, blacked out roof racks, and this little vent along the side of the vehicle. Coming along to the wheels, there are many different options and array of sizes. The most common is this setup, which are 20 inches wrapped around in two 75 wide tires. The standard M Sport package rims will have the same dimensions. You can also have, with the M Sport, a 21 inch or even a 22 inch staggered setup with 315 wide tires in the rear. If you go for the basic setup, you will have 19s wrapped in 265 wide tires. Not to mention, with the M Sport package, this black plastic cladding along the wheel arches of the fenders will be a body color. Lastly, on the rear of this generation X5, the design has definitely progressed from its past a little bit. The tail lamps are full LED, but a less distinct design as prior generations. In addition, the badge placement, whereas the X5 badging would be above the right rear tail lamp, this is now below the bottom left. In addition to the badging, the XDrive badging is now also on the rear, as it used to be on the lower sides of the vehicle. But it's hard to ignore the rear still does have an elegant and distinct design. Lastly, if you get the extended Shadowline trim, the exhaust tips will be blacked out, which does look nice, especially in a market where there are fakes out there. Walking up to the X5, you do have BMW's beautiful carpet lighting, which makes you feel a bit more VIP about your purchase, and looks great, especially in the time of the werewolves. Your key is also very signature quality as well, feeling heavy and looking elegant. Just note this one is in a case. The layout is very simple, with your typical unlock, lock, trunk, and panic buttons going in order. Furthermore, it can't be a BMW at this price point without its convenient comfort access system. Putting your hand behind the door handle will unlock the vehicle, and tapping this lined portion behind the door handle will lock the vehicle. Just note, this feature is only standard across the board in 2020. Opening the door of the X5, it feels okay, but not as heavy or solid as prior X5 generations. So for the materials for a luxury vehicle at this price point shouldn't slack, and this definitely sure doesn't. The build quality is exceptional, and pretty much everything on this door panel is leather except for the lower portion. Not to mention this beautiful double stitch that goes through and the attention to detail that's put into it. In addition, the ambient lighting strip looks amazing, especially at night and throughout the interior, and there are many options for the wood trim. Down here, it's just pretty much soft touch. Something I cannot say the same for the Mercedes-Benz GLE. Coming back above, you do have an elegantly finished silver trim door handle and your normal switchgear. Moving down, you get a 16-way power adjustable driver's seat standard with 4-way lumbar support and 2-way side bolstering extensions. If you want a little more, a multi-contour seat package is available which will give you 20 ways, and if you get the luxury seating package as a whole, it will give you front ventilated seats and front massaging seats. Also, there's this pretty nifty thigh extension which is pretty nice for longer drives. These particular seats here are BMW's Vernasca leather, a real leather with some grain. They do feel pretty okay and probably would satisfy most moms, but if you would like, you can offer BMW's individual merino leather seats, a higher end softer leather. The basic free of charge material on the X5 are BMW's Sensatec, or Sensafin for the 2023 model year, which is a fake synthetic leather upholstery. Step-in height is already fine for the BMW, but if you're a bit shorter, or if you want it, then the running boards are available. On first impressions of the interior, it may not have the wow factor that'll win you over the Mercedes-Benz GLE, but nonetheless is still pretty eye-catching, and great effort from BMW. Leather dashboard all throughout is a very nice choice, and this wood, which carries out throughout the cabin, is very clean and finished. And speaking about that wood, it does also look very nice along as a finish on the center console. And speaking about the wide center console, you do have a padded armrest, which does feel amazing and is leather. And down below here, you have even more leather and this nice little fabric, which looks absolutely stunning. One thing I can say for certain is the build quality and some material choices here are much better than the Mercedes-Benz GLE. Anyways, all you need to do to start the X5 is to put your foot on the brake and hit the silver mounted console button to start. Anyways, what you're looking at here is BMW's standard across the whole lineup Live Cockpit Professional, which is 12.3 inches. I'm not going to go too in-depth into it as I already did in my 3 Series review if you want to check that out. But you do have some configurability, and when you switch drive modes, your gauges do have a different style every single time. Anyways, further on, pushing the BC button on the end of the stock here will show some menus such as your trips, your mileage, your G meter, your audio station, and you can also control your audio station from your steering wheel for the gauges. And if you go in your iDrive system, you can also change the display to have kilometer conversion. You can also change your map in the middle to something else, or you can also have this pretty neat minimalist gauge design if you would like. Live Cockpit Professional isn't as configurable as Audi's Virtual Cockpit or Mercedes-Benz MBUX's gauge systems, but are configurable nonetheless. Here you have your headlight controls here, and your turn signal stocks, and your wiper stocks, which of course are automatic. Here you do have a fully leather-wrapped steering wheel, which does feel very nice, and your multifunction controls, such as your cruise control and your audio controls, and the steering wheel is also heated. And turning this wheel, it's definitely not heavy, it's very light and electric power assisted steering. Behind that, you do have the silver mounted pedal shifters. Anyways, why don't we talk about BMW's iDrive 7 infotainment system. So we're not going to spend too much time on this system as we already did in my 3 Series review, but your media just give you your FM, AM, Sirius XM, your Spotify, all of that stuff that you need for listening. Communications just for your telephone. Navigation is pretty straightforward. We'll show your maps, destinations. Car is definitely the most configurable menu. It has your vehicle status, will check your oil and all that stuff. And here you have all your personal settings such as your locks, your interior lighting, and here you can change your interior lighting to whatever you desire. You also do have the owner's manual in here if you would like to read it in there. And lastly, your apps. And not to mention, this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, of course, which I will show you. And you also have installed apps such as the weather, news, and you can even set up some of these apps if you would like. And this menu here is all configurable. This is just your home menu, and you can have whatever you want on it. Not to mention, there's a drop-down menu here with some more shortcuts, such as your displays, your recent calls, and you can even turn the screen completely off. You even have your own personal assistant. Hello, BMW.
Hi.
Take me to the nearest Chinese restaurant.
I found several restaurants. Which one should I select?
For you safety people out there, let's talk about the basic driving assistance features of the X5. These include active blind spot detection, front and rear park distance control, lane departure warning, automated emergency braking with pedestrian detection, and front collision warning. This is all configured to your liking if you want. Lastly, there's a driving assistance professional package available, which pretty much is partially automated driving. Moving along down here to your AC, it is of course a dual zone climate control, and it does have this pretty nice screen. And in the new ones, it is actually pixelated now on some. And yeah, but not really much to say here. You have all your heated seats, your modes, all you really need in climate control. Pretty simple. And if you do push this menu AC button, an iDrive menu will show up and will give you some more settings, such as your air quality, your heating ventilation. You can sync your armrest heating and your remote start settings as well, if you would like. Anyways, going back down here, let's listen to our stereo system, which is a 16-speaker Harman Kardon. There is also a basic hi-fi system and a Bowers & Wilkins system. So I wouldn't call this a really great system. It's good, but not great. It has a good bass to it and tone is okay, but it'll probably be fine for most. BMW's gesture control, which this car isn't equipped with, is a way to control things such as the volume with your hands, is available as a part of a premium package or previous standalone option. Down here, you do have your presets and you can configure your own stations, and if you slide your finger, it's touch sensitive, and you can see what you're showing on screen. Here you have a wireless phone charger, that also means wireless CarPlay, and if you get the executive package, you can get heated and cool cup holders. Closing this will reveal the finish. Coming back along down here, you do have your traction control off, which you can also have launch control, your safety systems and auto start stop, your cameras and your drive modes. Your parking brake is here, and if you get the 2-axle air suspension with third row, you can have a switch right there for your air suspension. iDrive is extremely nicely laid out, and you can get glass controls which will crystallize your volume knob, shifter, and your iDrive controller. Why don't we talk about our camera system? Putting it into reverse, you do have an extremely high resolution camera, and to put it in reverse, you push the button and push up. So you do have trajectory and guidance lines and a full 360 camera. You do also have these very cool 3D views, which I will show you in a second. So when parking, you can push this and you can scroll around the vehicle to see various different objects if you would want. I really love the animation and I love how it corresponds with the body color of the car. And it looks crystal clear as well. Not to mention, you do also have a car wash mode if you're going in an automated car wash. You also have settings, camera, image, and you also have automated parking and a backup assistant if you're getting out of those tight driveways. Use a shifter half step for neutral, and it will show on your gauges, and full step down for drive. push it to the left for sport mode, and then you can shift everything manually with the shifter, or you can use the paddle shifters, and it will have an auto upshift feature if you're getting a little too close to redline. And then put it back in park with the button. Opening the center console, it's a decent size. And then up above, you do have a very nice design of dome lighting. And by pulling this, you do have an automatic sunshade, which will open to reveal your panoramic sunroof, standard on all X5s. Part of the executive package, you can have a light pattern integrated into the sunroof with a choice of colors of white, blue, orange, bronze, lilac, and green. And that will look amazing at night. Here you do have your glove compartment, which is also a decent storage space. And I think we covered it up with the front, so why don't we go ahead and move along to the rear. The rear seat of the X5 definitely isn't its strongest point, but it does do the job nonetheless. You do have your leather and your stitching, which does follow along from the front. Everything from the front of quality will follow through the back. If you get the option, you are able to have rear manual window sunshades. And here you do have a 3-person bench seat, and as I said, a third row is available. The weakest point of the X5's rear seat is the legroom. Definitely not as much as a Mercedes-Benz GLE, which is 3 inches bigger in size, and you can definitely feel the difference. You have a pocket there, which is very nice, and some air vents along the side. A map light here is also very bright, and a handle here in case you're going through those turns. Now, here you do have 4-zone automatic climate control, and it is a dual zone setup, which is great if your kids are fighting over temperature. And lastly, you do have your heated seats as part of an option or as a package. Folding down this armrest will reveal 2 cup holders, which are decent in size. And also, just to mention, your headrests do also flip down too, for better visibility. Moving along onto the backrest, you do have this cover if you want to install a rear entertainment system a la carte, as the setup is already there, and a USB-C port, which is great for your kids and their devices while they're charging it. Anyways, let's move on to the trunk. Lastly, on the trunk of the X5, you can open it various ways. The key inside, from the button, or as I like to use, the foot method, which, as said, works 80% of the time. A BMW signature is its split shell tailgate, which is actually adopted from the Land Rover L322, when BMW is a cooperation with the Rover Group. But overall, the space is pretty decent, very comparable to the Mercedes-Benz GLE class as well. First aid kit is also right here, and you also have an underfloor storage system, and if you would like, you can get a space saver spare. The clamshell tailgate is actually very intuitive if you want to watch your kids or if you're loading heavy stuff in. Just do keep in mind that if you're just loading stuff in, it can be a little bit higher of a reach. Not to mention, this whole operation is electric, but some new ones are actually manualized because of the chip shortage. If you get the off-road package or the air suspension, you can have an air suspension button to lower the rear. And you can also just close the whole thing from the trunk button, and you can also lock it from there as well. And anyways, I think that concludes the in-depth review of this vehicle, and why don't we conclude the video. What we can establish here is that BMW's X5 is absolutely no slacker in this segment. With that said, it has a stellar powertrain, supple ride, high-quality interior, and athletic driving capabilities. If you're looking for a more family-oriented SUV with better technology and more roominess, its main competitor Mercedes-Benz GLE is also a strong contender. But do remember, you are paying for a 4-cylinder as base, and options do rack up on a GLE like clockwork. For me at least, if you were the passenger and rider, the GLE is probably a better choice. But if you're more focused on having a more fun, sporty, dynamic SUV that can put a slight smile on your face, then go for the X5. The X5 in my opinion is a better option because of how it can do everything the GLE pretty much can, with that athletic sporty side as well. Both are great options in the end, and you absolutely cannot go wrong with either. Thank you so much for watching.